This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, September 25th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Targeted deadly violence at an ICE facility in Dallas.
2 of them deceased, including the shooter.
I'm Clayton Neville.
2 senior Justice Department officials likely broke court rules by reposting comments President Trump made about Luigi Mangione. Julie Walker, New York.
The clock is ticking as the Justice Department is seeking to indict former FBI Director James Comey. I'm Jeff McKay with the details.
After more than 3 months, the manhunt for Travis Decker in the wilds of Washington state is over. I'm Jennifer King.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a day in the red, and we get a new read on U.S. economic growth today. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Sister Jean, the longtime chaplain for Loyola Chicago's men's basketball team, has retired at age 106. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Police in Dallas are investigating a Wednesday shooting at an ICE facility that left 1 detainee dead and 2 others hurt. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The shooting happened before 7 o'clock in the midst of weekday rush hour at an ICE facility off of busy Interstate 35E. Investigators say the shots were fired from the roof of a nearby building. Dallas Police Chief Daniel Como.
6:40 a.m., we received assist the officer call. We responded to the call, got to the scene, and we later learned that we had 4 individuals that were shot, 2 of them deceased, including the shooter.
Police say the shooter killed himself and a motive is still being investigated.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence.
Joe Rothrock is the special agent in charge for FBI Dallas.
Early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature.
In fact, one of the rounds had the words anti-ICE on it. The shooting comes not long after a recent attack on ICE at a detention facility in Alvarado, Texas. The Dallas ICE field director is Joshua Johnson.
The takeaway from all of this is that the rhetoric has to stop. There are people out there who are seeing what is being placed online, and they're coming and they're doing acts of violence against ICE employees.
Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson calling for prayers and calm amid tense times.
There's a lot going on right now in our country. A lot of it's confusing. It's a scary time. I've got children. I've got 3 young children, and I'm here to tell you that it is challenging to explain to them what's going on in our country right now.
I spoke with an immigrant who works near where the shooting happened, and while he's concerned about immigration policy in America, what worries him more is people using violence to confront policy they disagree with.
You know, that's really bad because I will tell, everybody have different reaction. You know, some people, they just write posts on Facebook. Some people just go away from this country. Some people, they try to be a violent, but I feel like this is the worst scenario, to hear that.
Meanwhile, Republicans like Vice President J.D. Vance pointing the finger at Democrats over rhetoric. Senator Ted Cruz called for the temperature to be lowered, and Governor Greg Abbott in Texas called the shooting an assassination. In Dallas, I'm Clayton Neville.
The presiding judge in the Luigi Mangione saga has scolded the Justice Department over public statements regarding the case, saying they may have violated court rules. Correspondent Julie Walker reports, audio courtesy Fox News.
At least 2 senior Justice Department officials likely broke court rules governing the conduct of prosecutors by reposting comments President Trump made about Luigi Mangione, the man accused of assassinating United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
Think about Mangione. He shot someone in the back. As clear as you're looking at me or I'm looking at you, he looked like a pure assassin.
Earlier in the month, Trump said Mangione is guilty.
He openly, it's not like, gee, there's a question. If there's a question, you can understand it, maybe. But there's not a question. He walked up to a man, didn't give him warning, didn't say turn around, didn't do like the Old West where you have a gunfight, you each have a gun. He shot him right in the middle of the back, instantly dead.
The clip circulated on social media was reposted by the Justice Department officials. A federal judge said Wednesday in an order that the officials probably violated a local rule limiting what prosecutors can say publicly about the guilt or innocence of a defendant before a trial, and future violations may result in sanctions. Mangione pled not guilty to both federal and state charges. His lawyers say the case is being poisoned by Justice Department officials. His lawyers are urging a judge to bar federal prosecutors from seeking the death penalty, arguing authorities prejudiced his case by turning his arrest and perp walk into what they call a Marvel movie spectacle, and by publicly declaring their desire to see him executed. In April, Attorney General Pam Bondi said they'd seek the death penalty. Meanwhile, in the state case, the judge took the terrorism charge off the table, citing it was being misused. Mangione still faces state charges of murder, too, which carry a 15-year to life sentence. Julie Walker, New York.
Former FBI Director Comey in the hot seat when America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. Rain and thunderstorms are in the forecast for this Thursday. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
The risk zone for severe weather this afternoon and evening shifts to the east and north for today as a cold front tracks eastward, still including parts of the southeast, such as much of Alabama and Georgia, but also extending toward the I-81 and I-95 corridors from Tennessee and the Carolinas through Pennsylvania and New Jersey toward the New York metro area. AccuWeather severe weather experts say that thunderstorms in this zone will be capable of wind gusts to 55 to 65 miles per hour, as well as some intense downpours. And for many in the northern part of this zone, those downpours will be quite welcome after a generally dry past couple of months. In fact, today brings showers outside of that severe weather risk zone from Michigan to Kentucky and into Ohio, western New York, and Pennsylvania, with thunderstorms most likely east of there to central New York State and stretching into West Virginia. Steady rain can be expected near the Canadian border from New York to New Hampshire, as well as across all but southern Maine, where embedded thunder becomes more likely within the rain through Albany, New York, northern Connecticut, and much of Massachusetts. Thunderstorms extend along the very same cold front back to much of southern Texas today as well, with the risk for spotty thunderstorms over much of Florida, too. Additional thunder showers rebuild today for interior, central, and northern California, favoring the higher terrain in that zone, but also reaching portions of Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. Outside of these areas, a rather large chunk of the nation to the west of the Mississippi River looks dry with a nice day in store today. In Brownsville, Texas, today brings clouds, showers, and thunderstorms, the high 90. For Bismarck, North Dakota, it's looking sunny today and quite nice, with a high getting up to 77 later. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The Justice Department is seeking to indict former FBI Director James Comey for perjury as the deadline to bring charges is fast approaching. America in the Morning's Jeff McKay has an update.
Lindsay Halligan, a former defense lawyer for President Trump who is now the federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Virginia, has been tasked with bringing a case against James Comey, but the clock is ticking. According to the law, a deadline to bring any case against the former FBI director has to be done by early next week. Multiple news outlets have reported that prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia investigated Comey and then informed the Justice Department there was insufficient evidence to obtain a conviction. Last week, Eric Siebert, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney overseeing that investigation, stepped down after President Trump told reporters he had lost faith in Siebert's willingness to bring criminal charges. It was Comey who headed the FBI from 2013 to 2017 when he was fired by Trump during his first term, oversaw the Russiagate investigation, and is alleged to have made false claims to Congress, an allegation that Comey has denied. I'm Jeff McKay in Washington.
Authorities appear convinced that a Pacific Northwest man wanted in the deaths of 3 of his daughters is dead. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
After more than 3 months, it looks like the manhunt for Travis Decker in the wilds of Washington state is over. According to court documents filed today, U.S. Attorney Peter Serrano says the U.S. Marshals Service has advised prosecutors that Decker is dead, and attorneys have asked the judge to drop the arrest warrant. 3 daughters of the former Army Ranger were reported missing May 30th after Decker did not bring them back from a visit per a court-ordered custody agreement. His ex-wife says Decker had been living out of his truck. The bodies of the 3 girls, ages 9, 8, and 5, were found in June near the Rock Island campground in the Cascades west of Leavenworth. An autopsy determined the girls had been bound with zip ties and died from suffocation with plastic bags over their heads. Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison said crime lab DNA testing will help determine if the clothing and scattered body parts really belong to Decker and put to rest theories that he killed someone else to throw off law enforcement. I'm Jennifer King.
New home sales soar when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back, and thanks for listening. You're with America in the Morning. Here's the business report with CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a losing day for stocks. The Dow fell 170 points. Gold retreated from its all-time high. Disney shares bucked the trend. They were up more than 1% after its ABC TV network brought back Jimmy Kimmel Live on Tuesday night. The home builders sold a lot of newly built homes last month. New home sales soared 20% in August to a 3-year high. Builders were cutting prices and buying down mortgage rates for buyers.
These numbers are based on signed contracts, so people out shopping in August when the 30-year fix had not started its steep drop that we saw in September. So it was well over the high 6% range. Now we're down at the 6.3% range. So this is a surprise. Lennar's earnings last week, they said they're doing price cuts. They're doing mortgage rate buy downs and other incentives. The price of a new home sold was $413,500. This is 4.7% above July. It is a real surprise to see prices go up.
CNBC's Diana Olick. Today, the average rate on a 30-year home loan is just about 6.4%. The NFL is looking at getting some more money for the media rights to its games, looking to renegotiate next year instead of when it's supposed to in 3 years. Here's CNBC's Alex Sherman.
The opt-out is not until the end of the 2029-30 season. So that is when the NFL theoretically could get out of its current existing media contracts with Paramount, which owns CBS, our own parent company, which owns NBC Universal, Disney, Amazon, Fox. From the league's perspective, they have seen recent sports media rights deals out there, the NBA, the NHL, that have gotten huge annual revenue increases. From the media company's standpoint, if they could do a deal earlier and lock up a few more years of NFL football and maybe in effect box out some of the big tech companies that may want in.
Meantime, the NFL has approved the sale of a stake in the Chicago Bears. That deal values the team at a record $8.9 billion. Target has its seasonal hiring portal open now for people looking for holiday work, while a new report finds that overall seasonal retail hiring will fall this year, perhaps to its lowest level since 2009. Job placement firm Challenger Gray & Christmas says by this time last year, big names like Target, Macy's, Burlington, Aldi, and more had already announced the number of seasonal workers they plan to hire, but these big companies aren't doing that this year. On today's watch list, we get earnings from a biggie, Costco. Durable goods orders numbers will be out. These are things made to last a long time, like washing machines and airplanes. We get a fresh read on U.S. economic growth with GDP numbers, that's gross domestic product. And we find out how many people applied for unemployment benefits last week.
Thank you, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, rehiring DOJ cut federal employees after these messages. Some government employees who were fired or furloughed from their jobs during the DOJ cuts earlier this year are being rehired. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports this comes months after Elon Musk told Fox News that no critical government services would be impacted.
The government is not efficient. and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
Hundreds of federal employees who lost their jobs in Elon Musk's cost-cutting blitz are being asked to return to work. The General Services Administration has given those employees who managed government workspaces until the end of the week to accept or decline reinstatement. Those who accept must report to work on October 6th. After what amounts to a 7-month paid vacation. One former GSA real estate official says that the agency was left broken and understaffed, adding that the GSA did not have the people needed to carry out basic functions. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A beloved figure in the college basketball world who became a household name during the Loyola Chicago Cinderella Final Four run in 2018 is retiring after more than 6 decades. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports.
Sister Jean, the longtime chaplain for Loyola Chicago's men's basketball team, has retired at age 106 because of health concerns. Sister Jean became famous during Loyola Chicago's run to the Final Four in the 2018 NCAA tournament. She was often seen cheering courtside and supported the team for years.
I sit here so that I don't get hit with the ball.
She spoke with the AP in 2023.
I think sports are very important because they help develop life skills. And during those life skills, you're also talking about faith and purpose.
Sister Jean served as the team's chaplain for 30 years, becoming a beloved figure at the university. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
America in the Morning for Thursday, September 25th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says no one is safe from Russia's war with Ukraine. Julie Walker, New York.
Adelina Grivava wins her late father's Arizona seat and could shake up the Epstein Files fight. I'm Sue Aller.
Will the White House investigate the escalator and teleprompter incidents involving President Trump? I'm Joan Jones.
The highest-ranking Republican in Congress showing some hesitancy surrounding President Trump's guidance on Tylenol. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Trump administration is holding back on grants to some very big school districts over transgender bathroom policies. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Our program continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. Up to Thursday weather now. Watching some showers develop over California. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Showers and some rumbles of thunder are likely to continue today for parts of California, but the difference for today looks to be that interior sections of northern and central California end up the focus for precipitation as the core of the storm responsible for this activity shifts a bit farther inland through the day. This will mean that the highest concentration of thunder showers could very well end up over the high ground of the Sierra Nevada range, with at least a spotty afternoon thunderstorm for central and southern Nevada and south and east of there toward the Arizona-New Mexico border. This signals a wetter pattern in this general area that is expected to last through the upcoming weekend. That should do it for widespread shower and thunderstorm activity west of the plains, and really much of the plains looks dry as well today. Warm conditions look fairly likely from northern Nevada through Montana, much of the Dakotas, and northern Minnesota, and it's looking like sunshine not only for those areas, but southward into Iowa, much of Missouri, even through northern Texas. That's a very large chunk of the nation, of course, but a rather slow-moving cold front does bring more clouds and some showers and thunderstorms towards South Texas and the Texas Gulf Coast. This brings us to the eastern states, which again look to be the wettest in the nation today, thanks to the very same cold front that's in no rush to reach the East Coast. Some of the afternoon and evening storms developing from Alabama through the I-95 corridor in the Carolinas and northward from there toward New York City may even turn severe at times with localized gusty winds. However, the story for many of these areas and some points to the north and west to Kentucky, Ohio, and right through New England will be the return of rain, with drought conditions expanding in recent weeks ahead of this most widespread dose of wet weather in quite some time. Some hours of steady rain spread from Connecticut and northern New York to Maine today, with some downpours extending right to the nation's capital. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Ukraine's president spoke to world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly, warning his European counterparts that Vladimir Putin is eyeing more than just taking over Ukrainian territory. Correspondent Julie Walker reports Volodymyr Zelensky's speech comes on the heels of his meeting with President Trump, who praised Ukraine and their fighters for holding off the Russian war machine.
Everyone thought Russia would win this war in 3 days, but it didn't work out that way. It was supposed to be just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad.
In his United Nations General Assembly address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says no one is safe from Russia's war with Ukraine.
I told you before, Ukraine is only the first, and now Russian drones are already flying across Europe, and Russian operations are already spreading across countries. And Putin wants to continue this war by expanding it, and no one can feel safe right now.
He also told leaders the world is in the most destructive arms race in history.
Ukrainians are peaceful people, but they are people who want to live freely in their own independent country. That's why we invest in defense. For many nations, there is simply no other way left.
On Tuesday, Zelensky met with President Trump, who expressed support for Ukraine's efforts and criticized Russia.
It's been a terrible war, should have ended, and Russia should have stopped it. But they've been 3.5 years and they've gotten not so far. So we'll see what happens. But the other side can fight too, and they've proven that. Maybe it could be that Russia's a paper tiger. I don't know what they are, but 3.5 years of fighting and killing everybody, of killing 7,000 people a week for nothing.
Do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
Julie Walker, New York.
A Democrat who's the daughter of the Arizona congressman who died in office has won a special election to fill her late father's congressional seat. Sue Aller reports on the GOP majority in the House becoming even tighter and how this one election could impact a potential Jeffrey Epstein vote on the House floor.
Adelina Grijalva, daughter of late Representative Raul Grijalva, has won the special election to represent Arizona's 7th congressional district. She defeated Republican Daniel Gutierrez, securing a seat that covers part of Tucson and the state's southern border. She will serve the remaining 15 months of her father's term. She told KGUN-TV that she will continue fighting for the people in her district.
I think that there's an opportunity for us to try to convince people that who they need to represent is the people that elected them in their community and not billionaires and corporations.
Her victory narrows the GOP majority in the House to 219 to 214, with 2 seats still vacant. The slimmer margin could make it possible that Democrats and a handful of Republicans may now have the votes to force a floor debate on the long-stalled release of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation files.
We obviously are hoping for the midterm, but respectfully, I'm showing up and making things happen on day one.
With her support, backers would reach the 218 signatures required to trigger the process. Her win doesn't just keep the district blue, it could also help reshape the legislative agenda in Washington. I'm Sue Aller.
The Department of Justice is demanding an investigation over what President Trump described as sabotage when he addressed the United Nations General Assembly. Joan Jones reports at Question is a series of technical mishaps, including an escalator that stopped working when he stepped on it, audio issues when he spoke, and a teleprompter that shut off when he was starting his speech.
When President Trump delivered his United Nations General Assembly speech this week, he made light of the malfunctions that paved his way there.
I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Not to mention an escalator that stopped just as the first couple stepped onto it. The president spoke of war, economies, and American exceptionalism, but the glitches at the UN were never far from his mind. Now an investigation may be underway into what may have caused the malfunctions. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt telling Fox News there may be consequences.
I know that we have people, including the United States Secret Service, who are looking into this to try to get to the bottom of it. And if we find that these were UN staffers who were purposefully trying to literally trip up the president and the first lady of the United States, well, there better be accountability for those people. And I will personally see to it.
One angle the Secret Service may be taking note of is a Times of London report that said globalist UN staffers were plotting to set up the president. As for that escalator, the UN issued a statement saying one of the president's own videographers may have leaned against a switch that stopped the escalator. That's still to be determined. I'm Joan Jones.
Trump holds back school grant money when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The White House puts out an alert to government offices and federal agencies. Prepare for reductions in force. The order comes as a government shutdown is now highly likely after talks were canceled by President Trump with the Democrat leaders in the House and Senate. Normally, when shutdowns happen, non-essential workers are furloughed, but in this case, the Office of Management and Budget is signaling terminations. Programs that will continue regardless of a shutdown include Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits, military operations, law enforcement, immigration and customs enforcement, customs and border protection, and air traffic control. Congress has until September 30th, that's next Tuesday, to approve a continuing resolution that would keep the government operating until Thanksgiving. It's unclear right now if there's enough votes in either the House or Senate to approve such a spending bill. The highest-ranking Republican in Congress is voicing hesitancy in President Trump's guidance for pregnant women surrounding Tylenol and autism. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
This week, President Trump and HHS Secretary RFK Jr. discouraged pregnant women from taking acetaminophen, commonly known as Tylenol. They linked the drug to autism and said that any use of it during pregnancy should be limited. On CNN, Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune said that he has some concerns about the guidance.
I think that science ought to guide these discussions, these conversations, and our decision-making around our health. There are studies out there that they reference, but again, I think there are an awful lot of people in the medical community who come to a different conclusion about the use of Tylenol.
He said Americans should be guarded
in making broad assertions and make sure that they are well grounded in science and medicine.
Senator Bill Cassidy also questioning the announcement by the administration and asking HHS to release new data that supports the claim. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Trump administration announces it's holding back school grant money for two of the nation's largest cities and a district outside of Washington, D.C. Correspondent Ed Donahue tells us why.
The Trump administration is holding back on grants to some very big school districts over transgender bathroom policies. Schools in New York City, Chicago, and Fairfax County in Virginia missed an administration deadline to agree to stop giving students access to locker rooms and restrooms corresponding with their gender identity. The Education Department says it will not certify they are in compliance with federal civil rights law, making them ineligible for funding for specialty magnet schools. New York City schools will lose about $15 million. A department spokeswoman says public school parents have every right to expect an excellent education, not ideological indoctrination, masquerading as inclusive policy. A spokesperson for New York's Mayor Eric Adams says the federal government is threatening to defund our children's education as a tool to change policies it doesn't like. Ed Donahue, Washington.
There are concerns in the Middle East after images show that Iran is in the process of rebuilding their missile production sites, many of which were destroyed during their confrontation with Israel. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
According to satellite images analysed by the AP, Tehran has begun rebuilding missile sites targeted by Israel during its 12-day war in June. But experts say a key component is likely still missing: the large mixers needed to produce solid fuel for the weapons. Reconstituting the missile program is crucial for the Islamic Republic. Tehran believes another round of war with Israel may happen. The missiles are one of Iran's few military deterrents after the war decimated its air defense systems. Experts say obtaining the mixers is a goal for Tehran, particularly as it prepares for possible UN sanctions to be reimposed on the country later this month. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Donald Trump is expected to sign a deal as soon as today to facilitate the sale of TikTok from a Chinese-based company to a group of American investors. NBC News is reporting that TikTok's U.S. operations would be run by a new joint venture company, while ByteDance, TikTok's current China-based owner, will hold less than 20% of the stock of the new company. TikTok came under scrutiny by technology experts and U.S. officials who warned that the popular app, which has over 170 million U.S. users, was a national security risk, and that ByteDance could give the Chinese government access to user data and to the app's algorithm. TV streaming services are getting pricier every year, but Disney Plus has picked an interesting time to hike their rates. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
The House of Mouse just announced another price upgrade for their Disney Plus streaming service. Disney's plot twist is that starting October 21st, the low-end ad-supported tier jumps $2 to $11.99 a month, while the ad-free premium plan climbs $3 to $18.99 monthly. That's up $30 a year from just last fall. The timing of this is a little suspect, given that they just turned a profit last year, and now they're squeezing harder on that shareholder sparkle. Additionally, this is hot on the heels of a PR disaster with Jimmy Kimmel upsetting the political left and right that sparked a major boycott push. Amazon and Roku both include Disney Plus, even with embedded buttons on their remotes, but these price hikes do track, given that most major platforms have increased rates to offset ballooning production expenses and combat password sharing. For more, find me on X at Chuck Palm.
Robert Workman has a check of Thursday sports.
Baseball Wednesday, the Guardians topped the Tigers 5-1 as Cleveland won for the 12th time in 13 games, improving to 18-5 in September and knocking Detroit out of first place in the AL Central for the first time since April 22nd. The Tigers, meanwhile, have dropped 8 straight and are only a game ahead of Houston for the last AL wildcard. Meantime, in Seattle, Cal Raleigh homered in the first inning and again in the 8th to give him 60 for the year as the Mariners sailed past the Rockies and clinched the AL West for the first time since 2001 with their 16th win in 17 games. Raleigh is the first non-Yankee American leaguer to reach 60 dingers, joining Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, and Aaron Judge, who hit his 50th and 51st of this season to lead the Yankees to a rout of the White Sox.
You sit back and admire it, and you're stop your momentum. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Hopefully I have a long career here, and we do some special things we can talk about at the end.
Judge becomes the 4th player with at least 4 50-homer seasons, along with Ruth, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa. New York is now tied for the AL East lead as the Red Sox rip the Blue Jays. Toronto has dropped 6 out of 7, but does hold the tiebreaker over the Yankees. National League Phillies swamped the Marlins, hitting a team record 8 taters, 2 of them by Kyle Schwarber to give him 56 on the year. Cubs smashed the Mets to snap a 5-game skid, but New York still holds a 1-game lead for the last NL wildcard after the Reds and the Diamondbacks each lost at home in 11 innings. That's Thursday Sports.
The famous Biden auto pen reemerges at the White House when America in the Morning returns after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Jimmy Kimmel is back on late-night television, apologizing for his statements about Charlie Kirk, but also standing firm during his show Monologue. Kevin Carr looks at the overnight ratings for Kimmel's return.
On Tuesday, Jimmy Kimmel returned to the late-night stage.
Even though there were jokes in the extended monologue, Kimmel took the opportunity to make some serious statements.
This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this.
He also spoke pointedly about the Trump administration and its efforts to cancel the show.
But one thing I did learn from Lenny Bruce and George Carlin and Howard Stern is that a government threat to silence a comedian the president doesn't like is anti-American.
Kimmel even responded directly to President Trump's comment last week about his suspension.
A lot of people have no talent, they get ratings, but he had no ratings.
Well, I do tonight.
But that does beg the question, how were the ratings? According to ABC, Kimmel's return was seen by 6.3 million people on traditional television. And that's with Sinclair Broadcasting Group and Nexstar Media Group still boycotting the show, blacking out access to more than 20% of U.S. households. For comparison, Jimmy Kimmel Live normally gets about 1.4 million viewers. Even more impressive were the online numbers. Within less than 24 hours, Kimmel's monologue earned close to 26 million views on YouTube and social media. A similar thing happened this summer with South Park. After political attention, the series received a ratings boost of more than 600% in the U.S. I'm Kevin Carr.
The White House has debuted a new exhibit, and it includes a notable attempt to troll former President Joe Biden. Jennifer King reports.
The White House has issued a burst of social media posts promoting a new installation along the West Wing colonnade, the covered walkway adjacent to the Rose Garden. The new presidential Walk of Fame looks something like an Employee of the Month display, black and white portraits framed in gold of previous commanders-in-chief. Except for one, instead of Joe Biden's portrait, President Trump hung a photo of an auto pen signing the Democrat president's name. The snub amounts to the latest attempt by Trump to delegitimize Biden, who he openly mocked at the UN General Assembly on Tuesday.
The most corrupt, incompetent administration in history, the sleepy Joe Biden administration.
The president has cast doubt on the validity of documents signed during the Biden administration and alleged without evidence that officials might have forged their boss's signature and taken actions he wasn't aware of, something Biden has said is a lie. The photo wall is the latest in a series of design changes that Trump has made at the White House. He's also added gold accents to the Oval Office, installed massive new flagpoles on both lawns, covered the Rose Garden lawn with a stone patio, and begun construction on a new White House ballroom, which he said that he and donors will pay for. Jennifer King, Washington.
America in the Morning for Thursday, September 25th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.